Hey, you know what today is? It's piping day. Yeah! I realize I look a little different today. I got my hair did for you. A little shout out to my girl Sandy. So yeah, I have some stuff set up here for you. And I'm going to get the camera set up at a different angle, but today is the day that we have been waiting for. So yeah, let's get ourselves set up and get comfortable, and let's do the deed. Super excited. Here we go. Okay, 2 videos I worked on for you. The first video, both of them are working on vinyl. The first video is for those of you who don't have a piping foot or even a zipper foot readily available. And it's really what I kind of used in the beginning, and it really only works for straight edges. So it seems kind of involved, but let me tell you, you get a perfect edge. You get a perfectly even piped edge. I actually kind of like it better than the piping foot. It's a lot of steps, but you'll be really happy with it. And I've never seen anyone else do it. And I know people are going to be thinking like, oh my God, look at all that work. But let me tell you, it's perfection. It really is. Second video is the only way I can really do curved edges, and that's with a piping foot. I have to say that I'm really pleased with the piping foot. With the piping foot on my industrial, it really sits really solid. I still want to do piping video for a domestic machine, and I don't know when I can commit to that, but I will do one for you, because doing it on cotton is a different animal than doing it on vinyl. It really is. For those of you who've done both, it seems simpler. My big issue with doing it on cotton is that when you do the basting and you initially baste it down and then you add the second layer and then you do it again, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but when you do the second row of stitching where you put both pieces together, I always had a problem with seeing that first basting stitching when you have to baste down the piping. So that's something I'll be playing with. And if you guys have any suggestions on how you do it, I'd love to see those comments. Because I did not do that in either of the videos. I didn't have to, because I used double stick tape. And we all know we don't like using double stick tape on domestics. So anyway, I wanted to preface both videos so you understood what I'm doing here and the reasons why. So yeah, without further ado. All right. So the first technique I'm going to show you is going to be on a flat panel. I have 2 pieces. So this would be, what I've used it on is on a Simona bag. You could use it, say, on a Bonnie bucket, where you have 2 pieces coming together and you want the piping to go along the 2 pieces. So what I have, first off, let's create the piping. So what I've done here is I cut this vinyl 1 1/4 inches, and then I've purchased, this is 1.8 millimeter, it's just cording, they call it for blinds, and I'll put a link on my page. I like the skinny cording, and this makes it so much easier on bags. You get a real clean line. You still see the pronounced edge of the piping without all that bulk. It's really easy to sew. It looks really good. And you don't have to worry about using a piping foot with it. Okay, so it's 1.8 millimeter. Then what I've done here, you can see that I use double stick tape, 1/4 inch, right down the center. I draw a line with, you could, depending on what you're using, chalk or Tandy leather marker, and then I just stick the piping right down the center, okay? And then I fold it in half. What I'm gonna do is stitch, and I really don't wanna stitch close to the edge. I am just gonna stitch it just in place of these clips. okay? I do that. Then on the band portion, you see how I've written band. Is that the band? Yes. Yes. I make a line that's 1 inch down, and then again I use 1/2 inch double stick tape, and you see where I put this? What I'm going to be doing is folding this down. Just trust me on this. You'll see this when I do it. So I just put that line, I do the double stick tape. I do all this at the same time, and I'm showing you this in the order I do it before I even come to the sewing machine. This is going to be the body. So this is going to be the top portion of the bag, and I mark that body. And then I've marked on the wrong side a 1/2 inch. This is the seam allowance, the 1/2 inch. But I also, with the Tandy leather marker, I have little markings on the outside because this is where it's going to be meeting up. So bear with me here. And now I'm going to sew. I have it set at just under 4 on the stitch length. Now, sewing at about 1/4 inch. Now we're going to take the band and we're going to fold it back. Can you see this? We're going to fold the band right along this line. Let's see if you can see this here. So I've done this, see? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, and this is why I do this way. I'm gonna take the binding and I'm gonna place it with double stick tape right precisely along this line right here. Right here, right along that line. So it shows exactly the same amount along the top. Okay, and I'm going to top stitch. I think what I'm going to do, I may tape it down so that it doesn't move. Let's see how I can get that. I may not. Yeah, I think I've taped it down before. So then it goes here. See, it's gonna go like that. I will tape that down and I will be back. Okay, so you see what I have here. I taped the binding to the band, and then I taped it to the body. So you see what I've done. Now normally, if you're working with cotton fabric or a lightweight fabric, you're gonna sew right sides together and sew this binding in between. That is really tricky. The tricky part is getting it right on the money to get, see how even that is? And you can do that easily with double stick tape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch right here along this edge where my finger, oh, you can't see, where my finger is right here. I'm going to do that right now. Let's see how we do. I'm going to have my stitch length set between 4 and 5, so it's of a top stitching length. And get going here. And this is what's wonderful. You don't need a piping foot because this piping is so thin, it'll sit right on top of it without any problem. So you back stitch each side. and it'll sit right on top of that piping without a problem. And just go right across the top. This so far has been my favorite method for straight edges for sewing piping. Now you can do 2 rows or 1. I am going to do 1 here. I have previously done 2 rows, but just for the sake of showing you the technique, there it is, a straight line. And you see how even the piping is. That's always been my problem, is getting the piping to look that even. Now the back side looks like this. Clearly it's a little less than a 1/2 inch, but it's a 1/2 inch all told with the piping on it. So yeah, that is the technique I have for doing this with the straight seams. This is piping gone on a straight edge. So you could do this on a pocket, you know, like side pockets or any kind of pocket. You can do this at the bottom of a band. And the trick is to turn it under, stitch it, and then join them in this manner. So that's it. What I have here is the piping all clipped to the body. And I took, since my seam allowance is a 1/4 inch, I took 1/8 inch double stick tape, and I kind of make sure that put it on the edge here, so that way this piping sticks extra securely to this edge, because it's super important that this stays here on the edge. So it is all ready to go, and I wanted to point out that I have a piping foot on this machine. For me, this seems to work best. The zipper foot, if you try a zipper foot on this machine, it just kind of wants to go like this in one space. It doesn't really walk as well as this piping foot. So this will fit right. I'm going to put the gusset over this, the other side. But this fits. You can see how wonderfully this fits right over. This is 1/4 inch, even though this is really small. It fits really well right over there, and then it feeds right over. It's a right foot piping foot, and it fits beautifully right over that piece. So I will be back in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and place the other piece over it, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, here we are. Yay! I got the bag is all clipped now all together, and notice on the corners I'm going to put the side up that I work with is the straight side. I generally try to do this, is keep the straight side up, and now in the corners it's hard to tell because it's black. When I have a straight side, I make minute little clips around the corners, and I do this on bag bottoms also. I work with a straight side up, do the clips, and that way this is where all the control is on this side. So stitch length is just under 4. Seam allowance is 1/4 inch. And we're gonna let her rip here, using that edge of the foot for my seam allowance. So I'm going to pass the strap connector. It's tricky. This is a really wide foot. I've got it marked now where the piping feeds in. So I've got that. So this is the edge of the piping because it's going off inside the seam allowance, you see here. So I've got it marked where I want it to feed in. And there it comes in right here. And now the piping foot's going to start to go right over the piping. There it is, sitting right on top of the piping. this to me is why it's so helpful to have double stick tape down, because if I just had this clipped, the piping would be moving underneath here. Trust me. Ask me how I know. It's no fun redoing this, because when it's on vinyl, you have to make new pieces. This isn't being cooperative. There we go. Let's see, we got stretching over here. That's another problem with vinyl. And again, I got this side marked where it's gonna disappear into the seam. I got this problem here. Hard to sew next to strap connectors. Okay. All right. Okay, there you do. It does much better with the cording foot than if I had tried to do this without it. So there it is. There it is. All done. There's the front of the bag. Yay! So yeah, came out beautifully. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked it, please click the like button. I love comments because this is all about growing and learning, and I'd love to hear what your input is. Hit the bell, and that way you hit updates. My goal for this year is to commit to one new video every week, and I've got a Facebook page for Sandcastle Designs. Those are all my new bags. I'm trying to produce about 2 bags a week. What's on the agenda is I really want to start interviewing other sewists and sharing your stories as well. So yes, click the like, click the bell, and I look forward to speaking with you all and seeing you all again, my friends. Thank you.